So Act 3 starts with quite the scene here, and this scene really helps speed up the pace of this play. Mercutio Benvolio and Mercutio's page, which would be like his servant or messenger, enter into the scene, and there are a bunch of other men as well. So we already have quite a bit of a crowd gathering here. Benvolio and Mercutio start off talking. He asks Mercutio to leave. It's hot outside. There's a lot of Capulets. So it looks like there's going to be a brawl if they meet up with any Capulets. And if we meet, we shall not escape a brawl, for now these hot days is the mad blood stirring. So not only is there hatred in the air, but the summer days are making it hot. People are angry, they're uncomfortable, and the tension is really building here. Mercutio says, okay, buddy, you are like one of those fellows that when he enters the confines of a tavern, claps his sword upon the table and says, God send me no need of thee. So basically here what Mercutio is saying that Benvolio is hot-tempered as well. Benvolio's kind of been the peacemaker. He's been the one, remember, we jump back all the way to Act 1, Scene 1, where he's trying to break up the fight, right? He's not interested in fighting. But Mercutio's kind of mocking him here, kind of tisking at him, saying, you know what, you were a violent, hot-tempered guy as well. And Benvolio says, am I like such a fellow? And then Mercutio says, you know what? You can get angry, right? You are as angry as anyone in Italy. And then Benvolio's like, really? Like, come on. I don't feel that way about myself. And then Mercutio here, he gives a couple of examples of why Benvolio is hot-tempered. First, he goes a little bit of an exaggerated route. He says, you know what? You would fight a guy because he has more hair in his beard, or even less hair in his beard than you. So just looking for a reason to fight, right? If you saw a man cracking nuts, you would fight him because you have hazel eyes, right? So he's saying that Benvolio is provoked very easily. And then he goes into a couple real life examples. He said that he quarreled with someone that was coughing on the street because he woke up a dog. Benvolio yelled at his tailor because he wore a suit out of season. And then another one, he got in another fight because someone had brand new shoes but had old laces in it, with another for tying his new shoes with old ribbon. And yet thou wilt tutor me from quarreling? So Mercutio's kind of in a bad mood as well, right? He doesn't think Benvolio's being fair with him. He says, like, you know what? You fight too, okay? And I like the line here where it says, thy head is as full of quarrels as an egg is full of meat. So basically saying when you crack an egg, there's lots of yolk. That's kind of like you. But your head is beaten as addle as an egg for quarreling. Basically, you've been in so many fights that your brain is like a scrambled egg, okay? You've been knocked around a lot. So yeah, Mercutio is definitely chiding Benvolio here. And then Benvolio's like, hey, you know what? If I were so apt to quarrel as thou art, any man should buy the fee simple of my life for an hour and a quarter. So basically he's saying, I would never be able to get life insurance, and Mercutio just calls him kind of foolish. Now, here is some trouble. So remember, we already have Mercutio, we already have Benvolio, and we probably have a bunch of other Montague boys. And then Tybalt, Petruchio, who is another Capulet, and other Capulets enter. So now there is a bunch of Capulets led by Tybalt, and a bunch of Montagues led by Mercutio and Benvolio. And so Benvolio says, by my head, here comes the Capulets. And he's like, great, just what I said. I didn't want to get into this fight, or I didn't want to stay out here because I knew a fight might happen if we run into them. And Mercutio's like, you know what, I don't really care. Let's see what's going to happen. Tybalt says, follow me close, for I will speak to them. So he wants to talk with Mercutio or Benvolio, because he says, a word with one of you. Mercutio, remember, he does not like Tybalt. We got in Act 2, Scene 5, where Mercutio is describing Tybalt. Everything that Tybalt stands for, Mercutio just doesn't like. So he's actually going to mock him. He's going to bug him a little bit, and he's going to provoke him a little bit. And Mercutio says, and but one word with us, couple it with something, make it a word and a blow. So he's basically like saying, oh, you just want a single word. Okay, whatever single word you say, you can say it. But you know what? I want to see something else with this word. I want to see a blow. I want to see a fight. And then Tybalt says, you shall find me apt enough to that, sir, and you will give me occasion. So he's like, you know what? I'll fight if you give me a reason to. And remember, right, again, going back to Act 1, Scene 1, where the Montague boys and the Capulet boys are looking for a fight, and they're saying, oh, you know, is the law on our side, right? The prince has given the warning not to fight, right? So Tybalt, as hot-blooded as he was, is still looking for a reason to fight. He doesn't necessarily want to be the one to exchange the first blow, right? So they're both looking to kind of provoke each other, because whoever strikes the first blow, the law is on the side of the one defending themselves. Then Mercutio says, could you not take some occasion without giving? He's like, can't you find a reason to fight me? And then he's like, you hang out with Romeo, don't you? And then Mercutio, again, he kind of plays around with some words. He kind of provokes Tybalt again, because he says, Tybalt says the word consort, and Mercutio thinks he's referencing musicians, and then the most important part of this is that he says, here's my fiddlestick, here's that shall make you dance. So basically he's pointing to a sword. He might take his sword out a little bit to show him the steel, and he's saying, this is my fiddlestick, this is my conducting stick, and this will make you dance, this will make you fight. So now Mercutio is egging him on even further. Right now he's actually kind of touching his sword, looking at his sword, taking out his sword, and he's like, let's go, let's fight. And then Benvolio here is trying to keep the peace. He says, we talk here in the public haunt of men, either withdraw onto some private place and reason coolly of your grievances, or else depart. Here all eyes gaze on us. So he's like saying, let's go to a we're in public. We can't fight. Everybody's watching us. We need to go somewhere private. Or if you don't want to go somewhere private, we need to talk about this rationally. We need to talk about this in a calm way. Mercutio says, men's eyes were made to look and let them gaze. I will not budge for no man's pleasure, I. So he's like, you know what? If people are watching us, good. I don't care. And now enter Romeo. So now the tension just keeps building, right? We get all these people together that just want to fight. And Tybalt says, well, peace with you, sir. Here comes my man. I'm looking for Romeo. Here he is. And then Mercutio says, but I'll be hanged, sir, if he wear your livery. So he's basically trying to protect Romeo here. Mercutio wants to fight Tybalt. He says, you know what, you can call anyone you want your man, and he's just again provoking him. Tybalt says, Romeo, the love I bear thee can afford no better term than this. Thou art a villain. So he's saying, you know what, I love you so much. The only word that I can use to describe you is a villain. So he's being sarcastic, right? He holds no love for him. The little amount of love that he has for Romeo can only result in Tybalt calling him a villain. And now, remember, okay, Romeo and Juliet are married now, right? So Romeo does not want to fight Tybalt. Tybalt is technically his kinsman, right? Tybalt is a cousin to Juliet, and so he does not want to fight his own family, his own in-laws. So Romeo says, Tybalt, the reason that I have to love thee doth much excuse the apparentine rage to such a greeting. So he's saying, you know what, I actually do have a real reason to love you. So I am not mad anymore. I'm not angry. I don't want to fight anymore. I am not a villain. Therefore, farewell. I see thou knowest me not. So he's saying, you know what? You don't even know who I am. Basically, I'm your family, right? So I am not a villain. I have nothing else to say to you. Goodbye. And Tybalt says, boy, they shall not excuse the injuries that thou hast done to me. Therefore, turn and draw. So he's like, I don't care. Fight me. Romeo says, I do protest I never injured thee, so I never did anything to you, but love thee better than thou canst devise, so I actually love you more than you know, till thou shalt know the reason of my love, and so, good Capulet, which name I tender as dearly as my own, be satisfied. So he's like, I love the Capulets now, I love you now, until you know why, please, just like, let's chill, let's have peace. And Mercutio says, oh boy, you are dishonorable, you are vile, and then he says, musical word here, and he draws his sword, calls Tybalt a rat catcher, and says, let's fight. Will you fight me? And Tybalt says, what do you want from me? Like, I don't want to fight you. I want to fight Romeo. And Mercutio has quite the clever line here. I love this. He says, good king of cats, nothing but one of your 9 lives. So he wants to take one of Tybalt's 9 lives. Remember, he's the king of cats. I want to fight you, and you shall hear me. As you shall use me hereafter, try beat the rest of 8. So it's like, no, if I beat you down here, I'll be satisfied. If you beat me, I want to fight more. So he's saying, let's see how this fight goes. Will you pluck your sword out of this pilcher by the ears? Make haste, lest mine be about your ears ere it be out. So he's like, my sword's out. Where's your sword? Let's fight. Tybalt says, I am for you. Draws a sword, and they're about to fight. And Romeo actually says, gentle Mercutio, put thy rapier up. He doesn't want anyone to fight. And then he says, let's go, passato. So they begin to fight.